Next, I would like to invite my very new friend I made recently, the Chief Executive Officer of YTL Communications, Mr. Wing, affectionately known as Wing, to come and share with us his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, well, good afternoon. This is an interesting event. Certainly, I learned a lot from you guys. So thank you so much for being so open in sharing your ideas, because ultimately, I think the whole culture of participation and sharing is what drives innovation. And credits to Ham and team for putting together this fantastic event to bring the like-minded folks together. So according to Microsoft, they decided to quit on me. That's why I think that's a better way of doing things, and it's called cloud computing. So give me a few more minutes, we'll get to cloud computing. All right, Microsoft again. I think Bill Gates certainly is going back to Microsoft to help them because they really needed some help. Okay, I think this is the third time, and it's not a charm. So what I would recommend, Ham, is to restart your machine. Would that be all right? All right. But I think it's important for me to perhaps not waste time and start talking about what I would like to share with you today. So YTL Communications, for those of you that don't know about YTL Communications, especially for overseas guests, we are a 4G company. We are one of the youngest and newest telco in Malaysia. Now, I'm not Malaysian. I moved here 4.5 years ago from the US. And one of the key reasons that attracted me to this country is the fact that we now have an opportunity with the backing of the group that I now work for, YTL Group, which is one of the largest conglomerates in the region, to really invest in infrastructure at the digital level to help the country innovate. And I think that's an amazing opportunity. I'm an engineer by training, a computer scientist, and I launched quite a few networks. I built quite a few networks in the United States. And suffice to say, Americans are quite spoiled. You know, US internet penetration is actually 84%. And it's not because US is lacking in terms of infrastructure. US has got plenty of infrastructure. And it's not an issue with money. It's just the issue that certain people just don't want to be connected. They refuse to be connected, even though they have an opportunity to be connected. And I think for a young country like Malaysia, there's a huge hunger for connectivity. There's a huge hunger for quality internet access. And I think if we have an opportunity, really for me as a professional, to come to a country and to really leverage some of my know-how for the past 20 years to help create a new network that can actually serve the country and help transform and help create a better path for the future generation, that's extremely gratifying. And I'm just happy that I get paid for doing it. So the Mac is starting, but I'll just keep carrying on. So today's presentation is really about the birthing of the Yes brand, a quick recap. And certainly I don't think that we've quite sorted everything out as a company. We're still young. But I think the opportunity here is that continue to learn and continue to evolve. Because at the end of the day, may I have your password, please? At the end of the day, innovation is a bit messy, just like sometimes machines don't work. But the beautiful part of being innovative is that we continue to iterate. Because at the end of the day, the best way for us to innovate is to learn from each iteration, and through iteration, try to adjust and course correct. Because at the end of the day, if you pay attention to how people launch rockets to the moon, they don't really shoot straight to the moon. Along the way to the moon, there are numerous course corrections from various different rockets on the side, and allow for the rockets to course correct to eventually get to its destination. I think the power of innovation is that if we were to pay attention and learn, and each of the opportunity for us to learn, we try to apply towards improving the next iteration, then at some point we'll get to a place that we want to be and be able to do well. So I'd like to just quickly use this presentation to update you on our short journey. We've only launched for 3.5 years, certainly a very young company. And just to show you what we've done so far and how we intend to grow our brand going forward. So if all goes well, we should have a presentation. Let's see. So far, so good. No yellow flag. Is there a go or no go? It seems to be a go. Yeah, that's really good. it's encouraging to see that things finally work. Because I'm not a very good stand-up comedian. I'm an engineer, so I'm not very funny. Whoa, this is really not funny. So I would try, and it would be quite ugly, but we can perhaps stretch out the screen, yeah? And just go screen by screen, would that be all right? You know, when I was younger, I used to do foils. So it's not that different from doing foils, isn't it? You guys don't know foils? No. How do you spell foils? The front row folks. They were born after foils disappeared. So before I moved to Malaysia, I decided to do some demographic research about this beautiful country. And I learned 3 numbers that are really fascinating. 140. What is 140? Get a guess. You are marketeers. You guys love numbers, right? What is 140? Mobile penetration. This country has got more mobile devices than people. Correct. So people say, Wayne, are you crazy? You decided to uproot your whole family, move to Malaysia to go to this congested market? Well, hold on for the next 2 numbers. The next number is 40. What's 40? 40 actually is an improved number. When I look at Malaysia 4.5 years ago, when I first started talking about with the board about the opportunity, it was 35. And that's the internet penetration for this country. 35 is not good, 40 is better, but it's still what I consider a bit weak. The third number is fascinating, 26. And 26 is not in this room. That's the median age of Malaysia. It's a very young country. So when you have a country so young, and with internet connectivity so lacking, therein lies a fantastic opportunity to fill the void. And you can only fill the void if you don't have legacy hurdles or legacy baggages. And we are quite fortunate that within the YTL group, there isn't any telco investment. So by definition, this is a greenfield startup backed by the YTL group. So there lies the reason why I decided to uproot my family to move here. Because it's not often that you have a strong commitment from the board to invest quite heavily into this greenfield project and to do things right with an environment that is quite favorable to allow for this to happen. So fundamentally, when I discussed with the board about this opportunity, we share the same belief that internet has a power to help transform the country. Now, when I met with the board in London about this opportunity 4.5 years ago, one thing that they told me, and I've learned since and reaffirmed again continuously, is that Malaysia is full of good resources, fantastic natural resources, but also human resource. But what is lacking is perhaps an opportunity for this resource to do well domestically without having to leave Malaysia. And to the extent that we have a digital infrastructure in this country that's robust and sophisticated, then that could present an opportunity for Malaysians to stay back in Malaysia and to continue to help contribute to the country's economic growth. And that's how I think is the most direct way of achieving Vision 2020. So, World Bank also said that any country that has a 10% increase in terms of internet penetration will see a corresponding 1.3% increase in GDP. Now, for Malaysia, certainly we have an opportunity to leapfrog, not just 10%, maybe 20, 30%. And in so doing, can we not create a better opportunity for all Malaysians? I think the answer is a resounding yes. And that's based on that the board has given us at YTL Communications an allocation of $850 million to invest in this project, and we've pretty much spent a good chunk of the $850 million already in the last 3.5 years since we launched this network. So let me just quickly recap for you what we've done. First, we believe that when a country is so lacking in terms of internet penetration, especially when it comes to wireless internet penetration, because honestly speaking, we can haul fiber optics cable all day long. It's not going to solve our digital divide, because first and foremost, it is not economical to haul fiber cables to rural areas. We all know that. Just look at existing HSPP deployment. It doesn't exist beyond the high, suffice to say, good customers. So point number one, fiber is not an answer. Point number two is that we believe that internet should be like air. It should be, wherever you go, you should have access to the internet and get the information you want. I think we have been conditioned now, I've learned from many of my Malaysian friends, that before you eat, you must first show respect to the food by taking a picture. And then you share with your friends. Then you eat. So I think fundamentally, we can't really wait to get home to connect to the internet, find an Ethernet jack, pop in, and then send a picture to our friends to say that this is what I'm eating. The world doesn't work like that. We are born to be free. We shouldn't be tethered as a human being. So we decided to build a network that is large enough. Now with 85% population coverage, we just launched Sabah a month ago. So we now have an amazing national footprint that gives us ability to have this mobile, anytime, anywhere access to information, to knowledge. Then we make sure that we have the infrastructure to back it up so that the performance is good wherever you go. We don't want to have a divide, whereby if you're in big cities near KLCC, in Mont Kiara, or near Sime Darby Convention Center, that you have fantastic broadband speed and you have downlink of 10 meg per second. And then when you go to a kampong somewhere, then all of a sudden you have half a meg, if you're lucky. Doesn't work. We have this digital divide that drives the country into two, the haves and have-nots. And I think that there are many talented Malaysians, not just in cities, but also in rural areas, in secondary cities, that deserve the same chance to have access to information, to knowledge, therefore they can do well. And I think that the best thing that we can do is to ensure that we give them the same high-quality access to the internet, no matter where they are. Then they can find ways to create economic value. And I think that's really an amazing opportunity. It's not just about being a social enterprise. It's about doing the right thing for a country of Malaysia. And we then created a convergent-based architecture. Now, this is a bit techy, if I may just explain it as plainly as I could. So what we have observed is that the world is moving towards a multi-device scenario. Honestly speaking, all of you have more than one device, right? You are quite sophisticated users of technology. So isn't it important that all these devices could be connected to the internet? Because you can then choose whichever device is most convenient to use that to access the internet for the sake of getting the knowledge or doing the communications that you need. So we thought that, well, let's create a network from ground up that is internet-based, that is IP-based, because internet talks the language, the protocol of TCP/IP. So we built a network from ground up that is IP-based, and you ensure that you have concurrency built into the network. It's actually much harder to do than how I just described it. So you can allow for customers to have only one account with you and be able to use as many devices as they want to either make phone calls, send SMS, or access the internet using one single price plan. That is very elegant, and that also translates into user benefit. And we hope that when we have that communication to the customers correctly, then they will see the value, they will see the surplus opportunity, they will see the performance opportunity, and therefore start embracing our network. So let me just take you a short trip back memory lane, back 4 years ago when we were in our marketing war room to figure out how do we introduce ourselves properly to this country. So we first look at the market and look at all the AdWords from our competitors. You might recognize some of these AdWords. I think it's safe to say that all the superlatives in the dictionary has been used already. We're the best, we're the fastest, we're the greatest, we're the coolest, we're the hottest, whatever. So we thought, well, that's a lot of noise. So we should really stand out above and beyond the noise and deliver substantive value. So we thought, number one, we believe, as a core belief of our group, of our company, that internet should be a right, not a privilege, as I just articulated. We also believe that the country should all have access to the same high-quality access to the internet. Therefore, all of us can rise to a higher level, not just certain folks that are able to get HSBB, they can do better, and folks that cannot, then don't get to do better. That's not right. And we believe in an open economy that everyone can participate. And by that, I mean that even if you're in a kampong somewhere, you should still be able to tap into the internet for the sake of giving your access to information, giving your ability to learn, giving your ability to do commerce and to do transactions. And we believe that there's no limit as to where we want to be as a young company. We don't want to be confined as a telco. With all due respect to my telco friends, and there are quite a few telco friends out there, is that I think telco has a stigma of being old school, of being out of touch with the internet. So we decided as a young company that let's not call ourselves a telco. we should function as an internet company. We just happen to have a telco license. We just happen to have ability to make phone calls. But that we are fundamentally, first and foremost, an internet company. And fundamentally believe in the unstoppable power of positivity. So that's why we created the brand Yes. Yes is a powerful brand for the simple fact that Yes is about positivity. And it is about us as a young startup going to a congested industry, showing people a better way of interacting with the internet. So we gave our agency a simple brief. The brief is, before anything happens, somewhere, someone has first have to say yes. So our first AdWords, we actually did a series of AdWords when we first launched our network. And this is the video. Let me show that to you.
What brings out the best in all of us? It's not a haircut, sharp suit, or even a university degree. It's a tiny word we know and use, but not enough. Yes. As in yes, hard work can make up for a lack of experience. Yes. Can you start Monday?
What do you think about the video? It was nicely produced, and all of us in the war room thought that, damn, that's nice. And we actually did a few others that you can also actually search on YouTube and so on. They all show a person staring at the camera, and there's narratives that talk about certain things that happen that turn into something quite positive. And then you see that natural smile, that beautiful smile that brims on the person's face. And we did it across demographics. We have a little girl that's Chinese, we have an older lady, we have a younger lady, and we have another fellow, so on and so forth. Each have a different theme that connects to different people based on their psychographics. So we thought that's quite smart. Unfortunately, it did not connect. People say, so who are you again? Are you Job Street? Or are you whatever? People didn't quite get that this is a nice execution as far as some of us is concerned. The problem is that folks don't quite connect to the language. So we thought, well, we have the right stuff. We have the network. We have the innovation. But how do we make ourselves relevant? Because unless you're relevant, you can't create customer relationship. We do have a unique advantage. One thing I learned from our marketing agency was that it is important to be able to shout an absolute statement. And we do have an opportunity to shout an absolute statement. We are indeed the only pure 4G network, and we are the fastest and largest 4G network in this country, and still today. So how do we leverage this advantage and translate that into economic benefits? Well, the silver lining is in the cloud. And I'm literally saying that it is in the cloud. In fact, cloud computing is the single most exciting trend globally. As you heard just now in the speaker, they talk about content creation. I thought that was really brilliant illustration of how basically anyone can use a browser to go to his website, Mayumi, I think, and be able to create really engaging content without having to have a huge iMac somewhere and to get all these expensive content just to tell a story. So I think cloud services really is not the scary stuff that guys at IBM do day in, day out. I think it's stuff that all of us use day in, day out. If you posted a picture on Facebook, you are using indeed cloud computing, right? So it is indeed the single most exciting trend in the consumer internet that all of us use today. But it's also one of the most exciting trends in the business aspect of the internet. You see companies like Microsoft, IBM, Google, Amazon, they all embracing cloud computing. So we thought, how about this? What if we were to take on a project to enable the whole country to be savvy about cloud services, starting with our kids, so that we can create a new generation of workforce in Malaysia that is cloud savvy the moment they leave school. Now, many of you have gone to school systems and they teach you ICT in class. And many of us record, some of you may still be involved in the school system, that the ICT training per se in the school system is about showing you how to start up Microsoft Office and create macros in Excel, or maybe do something quite fancy with Access database. Is that really about ICT, really? I think not. If you look at how technology evolved through computational thinking. It's not through consumerism. We consume technology, but unless we give back to technology, there's no innovation, correct? So I think the most fundamental way for us to embrace and ensure that our new generation is able to compete in an increasingly technology-savvy world is to give them the ability to have analytical thinking and the ability to actually use the cloud to do the everyday work so that they have a culture of learning that they can take on beyond the school boundaries. Because at the end of the day, we all know that technology changes all the time. What you learn in the ICT class back in school days quite likely is no longer relevant in today's terms. What we should give our kids is not just simple consumption of technology, but the ability to actually continue to use the internet to learn and to grow and to evolve themselves. So I thought that this is a very amazing opportunity if we can do that. In fact, this is an article from The Economist last year that says that America is now finally injecting ICT training into school system by introducing cloud services into American schools. But the breaking news here is that we already done that in Malaysia. Together with the Ministry of Education, we actually have been working on a project called Bestarinet that encompasses connecting all 10,000 schools in this country to the internet. Granted, we happen to have a network that have the reach and the breadth to do that. So we've connected the schools now. But what matters is not about connectivity. Connectivity is good, but what helps drive transformation for the learning is about giving them a learning platform that can help the kids interact, to collaborate. Because ultimately, all of us as professionals, I think, can think through. The most important life skill that we have as professionals is the ability to collaborate. It's the ability to constantly research, analyze, and get information, and apply that information towards what we do. That's what we do as information workers, correct? So if we give our kids the ability to use the internet to accomplish that in a very young age, that creates a culture that they can take on to the society and create new values above and beyond what we can imagine. In fact, I do believe that because of the nature of job being so dynamic, what titles you have today might not be relevant in 10 years' time, which means that many of our kids today, they couldn't even plan their career. The best thing for us to give them is the ability to learn, the ability to have lifelong learning, using the internet as the ultimate source of knowledge, and to augment their existing curriculum, so that in conjunction, we can do something quite a bit more exciting, and allow for kids to really, really think and to innovate on their own. That's happening in the United States already. Have you heard about Khan Academy? How many of you have heard about Khan Academy? Great. Anyone that's got young children in the primary and secondary school, I really encourage you to check out Khan Academy. And you have even the Malaysian school system, in the public school system, then the good news is through our Bestarinet implementation, through our learning platform, we already have integrated Khan Academy into the learning platform. So which means that our kids can use the Khan module. The Khan module basically are video modules that talk about a specific topic, about arithmetic, about trigonometry. And then through that video lesson, then it comes with exercise module that you can actually practice what you just learned. That's really the best way to learn, is to get some information and apply the information right away, so it doesn't just disappear. So the new way of learning is by definition interactive, by definition collaborative, which is basically how the internet works. So if we can inject the power of internet and the culture of learning using internet into the Malaysian schools, that's really powerful. So we've done that. We've created what we consider the world's first national learning cloud that's got a single national platform that covers all 10,080 schools with 10 million subjects, which include 5.5 million students, 4 million parents, because we believe fundamentally that parents should be involved in the kids' education. Teaching should not be just outsourced to the teacher. And obviously, 500,000 of teachers in the MOE system. They all have access to the same platform. So not only that we are able to create a level playing field between the rural schools and the urban schools, we also create a level playing field for the teachers, because we all know, having gone through a school system, not all teachers are created equal. They all try very hard, and our utmost respect to the teachers. But the reality is that not all teachers can be master of all subjects. To the extent that we have this single national platform that we can crowdsource lessons plan from across the entire school system, so that if a teacher in a Terengganu village that's having a hard time, how do I teach my kids calculus? And she has this access to the national learning platform, and this teacher in PJ has this brilliant idea of how do I teach calculus using this lessons plan. And she would share that, using that the StarNet platform, basically a cloud-based platform. You log onto it, you will see the portal. Then immediately she can use that lessons plan and apply that and benefit her kids in the Terengganu fishing village, not having to travel all the way to KL just to learn how do I teach calculus to my kids. That is amazing. That's amazing leapfrogging. So with this StarNet project, this is really the best embodiment of our vision, which is having a single identity, yes ID, that gives them access to our network, that gives them access to this world-class learning cloud. We also integrated content as well as National Geographic, History Channel, British Council, the list goes on. And we also work with Google. Google learned about what we've done, and they were so impressed by what we've done that they said that we must invest in Malaysia. So towards that end, Google integrated the entire Google Apps platform into our learning cloud, which means that our kids, using their Yes ID, they can have access to the learning cloud. The moment they said, I want to start a homework assignment, they click create, click document, and voila, that's Google Docs. And the kids want to collaborate with their fellow students, they just need to add their fellow students into the Google Doc, and immediately they can collaborate real time on the same document. And if they want to submit their homework, they just need to share that with the teacher. And the teacher would have access to the document, and teachers can grade the document, and that's pretty much done. No more messiness that, hey, I left my book at home, I can't turn in my homework anymore. I mean, those days are gone. And that's the new way of work. Forget about the fact that this is a school setting. Imagine in an office environment, wouldn't you like to do things that way? So that's the culture of learning, the culture of collaboration, interactivity that I think people in the Malaysian school system can now carry into the workplace. And last but not least, we also work with Google on this Chromebook that we have introduced to the Malaysian schools. Right now, a lot of schools have computers that don't work, or got lots of viruses, or certain application software just keep crashing on you when you need them. So with Chromebook, it is designed to use with the cloud. There's no liability in terms of software, viruses or malware and so on. So it's a really elegant solution that goes brilliantly together with the cloud concept. So I'm pleased to report to you that as of today, we have deployed our StarNet platform to over 90% of the country's schools. In fact, pretty much all the states in the country except for Sarawak, that's where we are still missing the 10%. But we're working very hard with the local authorities to ensure that we get the infrastructure sorted out, because Sarawak does have some additional challenges when it comes to infrastructure. So we will sort that out, and then at that point we'll reach 100% towards the latter part of this year. But it's amazing that in merely 20 months' time that we've completed 90% and really created an opportunity for excellence and leapfrogging for the country. So let me just show you one more video, if time permits, that perhaps illustrate how exciting what we've done in Malaysia is at a global level. I'm going to introduce to you this gentleman. His name is Sundar Pichai. Sundar Pichai, for those that in the tech circle might know him, he's Senior Vice President at Google. He's responsible for Android. How many of you guys use Android phones? Quite a few, right? So that's his baby. He's also responsible for Google Apps, and he's also responsible for Chrome. We imagine that you'll be using Chrome at home as well, which is the world's #1 browser. So suffice to say, he's a fairly important figure at Google. And this is the Google I/O event last year. Google I/O event is one of the hottest tickets in the tech circuit. Tickets sold out in less than 40 minutes time. There are 80,000 people that attend this event in San Francisco, and it's also live streamed to over 1 million people throughout the world. So this is Sundar's keynote at Google I/O last year.
It's great to see Android making its foray into education. We're going to invest a lot. We've already been doing this with Chromebooks. Chromebooks are really ideally suited for education because there's literally no setup, no administration. You open the device, you're good to go, and you have the power of web within you. Just last year alone, we have over 1,000 schools in the United States running Chromebooks. In the 4 months this year, we have added 2,000 new schools, and Chromebooks are going mainstream in education in schools in the United States, just like Google Apps. And the area where this all came together beautifully is Malaysia. So I want to talk about that for a minute. Malaysia has a nationalized education system. They have 10,000 schools in the country, distributed, several of them in poor rural areas. So they really wanted to provide 4G connectivity throughout to all 10,000 schools to level the playing field, and they are deploying Google Apps along with Chromebooks in primary and secondary schools so that they can bring computing in their schools. So let's take a look at what they're doing.
Malaysia has so much to offer. There's so much untapped potential. Just to walk into one of these small villages and look at the eyes of those children at school, you see that spark, little fire in their eyes. There's this whole world out there that would allow you to experience learning beyond what you ever thought possible.
And a lot of our students don't have internet access. A lot of them were just left behind.
In Malaysia, we place a huge investment in the education of our young children.
We're providing 4G connectivity to all schools across the country. And the fact that we can spread it across 10,000 schools is amazing.
Learning had to be anytime, any place. You didn't have to be in a state-of-the-art classroom, but you could be with a Chromebook sitting in a field and experiencing world-class learning.
It is so exciting to be a part of education in Malaysia today. This power that you place in a child's hand and you say, the web is your school. Go and learn.
I guess it's not every day you have guys like Google endorsing what you do. Google don't have to kiss up to people, last I checked. So I think that's really an endorsement. I think all of us as Malaysians should be proud because this is truly a global opportunity for us to show the world how next generation education could actually happen when you have that vision and you have that determination. So I just wrap it up by saying that certainly from a branding standpoint, it helps for us to pick up some global recognitions. We were recognized at the Mobile World Congress just a few months ago. For those that don't know, Mobile World Congress is like the Oscars of mobile world, guys, telco geeks. So it's good to be recognized as the world's best enterprise cloud because of the work that we've done at Starnet and quite a few other recognitions as well. So I think it's safe to say that we are still a young company. And the learning continues. But to the extent that we didn't just talk, but we actually went and delivered and executed and let the product speak for itself and create a new culture of learning and hopefully create the awareness that quality internet is important. Hopefully we will then be the natural answer when people look for quality internet. So thank you very much for your attention. Appreciate your support.